It's not about how you're playing in September and October. It's how are you playing in December. If you want to go on to win the Super Bowl, you've got to be playing your best football at the end of the season. And for the Steelers, that's not what we saw last year. And look, Ben and this team, they lit it up early on. And, of course, you know, they battled some delayed games and some issues all season long, it seemed like. But these drop passes that you're seeing right here, the inability to get 1 yard, the dysfunctional football we saw offensively. I mean, we could sit here and say, man, is Ben, we're seeing a pick six right here by Ben, so that's not his best throw, his best moment, but we saw a lot of dysfunctional football around him. So I don't look at the Steelers and say, all right, hey, Ben's back, that's it, they're Super Bowl or bust, and that's going to happen. But I will say that without Ben, this is a totally different Steelers offense, and I think that Ben coming back gives them the confidence. You know, obviously their defense has been phenomenal, but if you're a Steelers fan, you've got to be excited about having Ben back. When you look at 2 years ago, he threw more passes than any quarterback in the league.
Is that a good thing? What is that?
It's not a great thing,
yeah,
but you know that he can handle it if he has to. And I think, to me, this offense is going to be interesting. They got a new offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, and he loves the jet sweeps, the pre-snap motions, all this different kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see what kind of identity this offense has with Ben this year.
Okay, I don't know Matt Canada well, and I know he was with the staff. Can you give us any more? I don't know what that means, because what would the offense look like with Matt Canada if you're familiar with his work? Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how he employs this with the Steelers, but you know, I called a couple games that he was the offensive coordinator for. He's been a journeyman. I mean, you name the college program or the team, and he's probably been on it in some capacity. You know, I don't know if he's ever unpacked a box. I think he's just a man on a move. But the pre-snap motion I'm talking about, it's a lot of, you know, hey, you start out, all the tight ends and wide receivers on this side of the ball, you come up, all of a sudden, now they're all on the other side, and it just constantly changes the defense. It makes things tough, and as a quarterback, that's a lot of language, a lot, as a receiver, it's a lot to remember, so it can make things complex, but it's also, it attacks and it stresses the defenses. So I think you're going to see a lot more creativity with jet sweeps, with reverses, with wide receiver runs, and, you know, we call them orbits, and, you know, Z behind left, you know, those type of plays.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot more movement before the snap from everybody all around.
I ask you that, Sean, because it has to be different than last year. That final month of the season, this was one of the worst football teams.
It was pedestrian.
It was so pedestrian. It was so predictable, and it was run. Okay, they're stopping the run. Let's just throw. And Ben, to me, I look back at two games in particular. The Monday night loss to the Bengals. It was the same week that the Jets beat the Rams, and you couldn't be, you know, shocked that an upset can happen. When the Bengals were one of the worst teams in football, they absolutely dominated the Steelers, who were fighting for the #1 seed in the AFC. It was one of the most shocking upsets of the season. It gets lost in the Rams-Jets stuff because that one was a winless team beating a team that was also contending for a division. But then the playoff game, to come after, you know, 4 games being played in the last 24 hours, and then to show up and then just have one of the worst games ever from, you know, a team's standpoint against a division rival in your own building leaves a really bitter taste in my mouth. So I need something different. This team that played against the Browns, and I know Ben put up 500 yards in garbage time, and they almost came back, and if Tomlin goes for it on 4th down, who knows what happens at the start of the 4th quarter. Let's be honest, they got blown out by the Browns in such a way that there was really no shot that that team was going to compete for a Super Bowl, even if they found a way to win this game. Ben is great. He is. He makes a lot of money. Part of me wonders, at the money he makes and with the cap hit that he has, are the Steelers in win-now mode where they need that, or is it time to maybe turn the page and say, hey, Mason Rudolph, maybe it's your time. Or, hey, Marcus Mariota for half the price. Maybe that gives us a better chance, especially if we're one of these jet sweep run offenses that we can do. Or maybe even it's Cam Newton. I don't know.
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs might even have a shot at this. I love Ben. I think he's the guy, and I think they could be potentially contenders. But I don't think this is a slam dunk where everyone should be watching at home being like, Ben's back? Super Bowl or bust. This team has so many issues, and they ended the season on such a sour note. I think it's the best decision. I don't know if it makes them Super Bowl contenders, Kim.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Explore other options. And you're saying it's okay to at this point in Big Ben's career. And I like that quote. What was it? Make a routine plays routinely. Mike Tomlin is always going to give you a good quote. I have another one that he hit us with in 2020. It's a fine line between drinking wine and squashing grapes in this business. All right? So you're either putting in the work so you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, no pun intended, or you're going to be squashing grapes for a long time. I just feel like they're going to have to squash grapes and improve on what they did well last year. There were some moments, and I'll play the optimistic role right now, where they did play well. You mentioned the record. At one point, they were the best team. Despite Tomlin coming out and saying the only thing perfect about us is our record, you still have to respect the fact that they were the best team in all of football. Now, they were nickel and diamond quite a bit last year, and I think teams started to sit on that. They realized, I don't know if it was an age thing, maybe a separation thing from the wide receivers, maybe even the fact that there was a drop-off in production because wide receivers were dropping the ball over the span of a couple of weeks. I do feel like they were doing things well. They just have to start squashing more grapes, in the words of Mike Tomlin, because it seems like they hit a wall. Yeah. And that wall was every defense that was able to sit in that intermediate area and test the fact that these guys weren't able to hit those shots downfield. The wide receivers are going to have to be better. The running backs are going to have to be better. And you know what? Big Ben, at this stage, if you want to keep playing, you're going to have to be better. You're going to have to be faster. You lost a little weight. You shaved your beard. You look good. You were in shape. Did your arm lose a little bit of that pop at the end of the season? I don't know. I can't answer that. Only Big Ben can. So it's not enough to look good and shave your beard when you come in the offseason. You're going to have to hit the weight room hard. You're going to have to be a little bit more mobile in the pocket. You're going to have to be a little bit stronger late in the season when throwing the rock downfield.
And he will be an extra year off of that surgery. Yep. So perhaps that helps him. Time does tend to heal. You know, I think it's interesting, Nate, when you said hit the wall. I happened to see Ben in Buffalo. I believe it was week 15. I think he was like 50% passer that day. Couple of touchdowns, but 2 interceptions, including one by the immortal Taron Johnson, who then ruined Lamar in the
101 yards.
Absolutely. We'll never forget it. So, you know, interesting stuff when you look at the offense, but I also look at the defense because, Sean, you and I were both there for that opener last year. TJ Watt was getting after Daniel Jones, but the guy that flashed to me was Bud Dupree that day. Indeed, the Steelers ended up being 10-0 with him on the field. Tears an ACL. I believe he's going to be a free agent, but it sounds like his rehab's going well and good for him on that count. But Bud Dupree that day, Sean, I thought, wait a minute, he's the best defensive player I'm watching in this game, certainly for the Steelers that day. So I thought losing Bud Dupree, you know, sometimes guys, and you guys know this, I don't need to tell you, sometimes it feels like a quote-unquote more of a role player and not a star is lost, but then you realize, oh, wait.
He's the glue guy.
That guy was cleaning up this, that, and the other thing, exactly, and being the glue guy. That's how I ended up looking at Bud Dupree last season.
To go along with
they missed him.
And Devin Bush, too.
Devin Bush early on.
But here's the, I mean,
for sure.
Penalty's not coming back. Juju's a free agent. It's not just roll out the ball and play. And even if it was, Kim, they weren't good at the end of the season. They were not a good team.
Pittsburgh as never changing, there are going to be changes.
I think there has to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, guys, a perfect fit for that team.
Yeah.